Okay, now let's assign permissions to roles. And first I'm going to start with the edit page. Here we need to add multi-select here with all the permissions and select the permission we want to assign to this role. And when we update, we are going to assign also the permissions. And one more thing, I'm going to display all the permissions in the table. For that, I'm going to install the package. So let's search for view multi-select. And I'm going to select this one here. Let's navigate in the GitHub, and we need to work with version 3, and here we have the version 3 support. Let's select the next branch and let's install this one. So copy this, open the VS Code and open the terminal here and paste that command in. And then we import the component and we use like this vModel options. Also we need to import the CSS. Here we have a single select example, single select with search and multiple select. I'm going to use this one. First, let's import the component. So let's copy this and let's navigate in the edit page, edit inside the roles, and let's scroll up, paste that, import view multi-select from view multi-select. Also import the styles on the template. Let's add it down there. And the last one, let's copy this multi-select with search, and inside the template now, here we have a form and we have a div. Let's add another div here and paste that multiple select. We need vModel and options, and option is going to be all the permissions. For vModel, I'm going to add on the form permissions, which is going to be array, and okay, here now let's define permissions, which is going to be an array, and we need to open now the controller. So let's open the role controller and pass here on the edit the permissions. So here we have the edit, we define the role and we pass the role here. As a prop, also let's pass the permissions like this and say permission resource collection and pass here the permission model from Spati and the static method all like this. Hit save. So we pass here the permissions. Now we have permissions here and permissions on the form. And with that, now for the vModel, we pass here form.permissions, and for options, just permissions like this. And let's save this and let's see on the browser what we get. Yeah, here we have something like this. Just we need to add some styles, and what I'm going to do in this div also, I'm going to add a class to be margin top 4, and let's copy this and pass here also a class margin top of 4, and then add also the input label for permissions, and here the value is going to be permissions, label name and track by ID, I'm going to say. Now, so here we have big sum, I'm going to say, or let's leave it as it is. And now, yeah, now we have something like this. Okay. Now let's work with the update. So on the role controller, when we update, we say, first we find the role, and as I said, you can use the route model binding back here. I use the ID, and in the permissions, I used the route model binding just to show you. And we say route role update and request validated. But I'm going to change that. Let's go to the create role request, and here I'm going to pass also the permissions, which is going to be not required, it's going to be sometimes required, and it's going to be an array. Let's come now right here, and on the request validated, I'm going to add an array with name, which is going to be the request name. And then just to show you, I'm going to open the Laravel Permission package documentation, so from Spati, and let's zoom it for you. Let's go in the basic usage, using permissions via roles, and right here we have assigning permissions to roles, and here we have an example. Assign, give permission and add the name, or revoke the permissions to and pass in the name, or revoke and add new permissions in one go. I'm going to use this one. Sync permissions and pass the array with names. Now the permission and revoke permission functions can accept a string or a permission object. Instead, the sync permission accept only the array with names. So let's do that. Let's say here we have the role, so $sign role, sync permissions, and pass here the request. Now we need, because the permissions request is an array and we need only the name, we can do like this: request input permissions dot asterisk dot name, and like this we get all the names from the permissions array. And with that, now if I save, and also I'm going to open the table plus to see the changes. So open the inertia permission, and the role has permissions. Right now we don't have any relation. If I go and try, so refresh, go back, so the role admin has the ID 1, and let's see if we can add some permissions to this one. Say update, we redirect back, but if I come here and refresh, as you can see, now we have permission with ID 1, 2, and 3 related to the role ID 1. Good. Now I want to change this look, and also, as I said, I'm going to display in the table the permissions, and also here right now I want, because we added the create, update, and delete user to this one, I want to be selected when we come here. And maybe update, don't go back, just stay here. If we want, we can go back like this. So let's start work. open the VS Code and on the edit first. So let's open the permission index. And here I'm going to copy all the table, or let's copy also this one, this div. And let's go here, close the form, and I'm going to add after this div, this one. So we have a table with ID, name, and action, and we make a v4, but we need to make a v4 permission in not permissions, but in the permissions this role has. So for that, we need to go also in the role controller, and on the edit we say role, new role resource, and let's come here. We added ID and the name, and I'm going to add also the permissions here, which is going to be the permission resource collection, and I'm going to say $sign this when loaded the relation permissions, like this. And now if I save and go back, first let's import the table, table row, table header, and table data cell. So let's come here and import them all. Import table also, let's import table row, import the table data cell, and also import the table header cell, like this. And just to show you, if I come here and refresh, yeah, we have something like this. And if I inspect the element, go to the view, in the edit we have permissions and we have a role only with ID and the name, but we added also the permissions in the role resource. In the role resource we set permissions, and this when loaded the relation permissions. So for that we need to load that, and we need to say here, to do that we need to say $sign role load the relation permissions, like this. And let's see now, if I come here and refresh, now the role has also the permissions, which is an array with 3 objects. Good. And let's do a v4 in that array, not in the directly permissions, but permission in role dot permissions. And I don't like to be named permission, I want to like role permission, like this. And let's copy that, paste it here, 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 and we don't need to link the edit, just this one, which is not going to be delete, is going to be revoke. I'm going to revoke the permission from the role. Now if I go, yeah, we have something like this. Also, let's change the width of this one. So for that, and let's copy this. Let's do first max width to be a 6 XL, and I'm going to copy this and paste it also to the table. Come here and save. Yeah, we have something like this, just the table has the same color, so background color I'm going to change. So on the we have a BG slate. So let's add another div with class to be BG white. Okay, and let's move down there, this one. Yeah, like this, I think it's okay. Now let's add also a header to say here are the permissions. So here we have a header with update role, and also let's add some colors here. So I'm going to say font semi-bold first. And then let's say text to be indigo 700. And now let's copy this and paste it to this one as well. Just instead of update role, here we are going to say permissions, and let's save and see. Yeah, here we have permissions and update role. And I think we are okay. One more thing I want here is, because this role has the create, update, and delete user permissions, also I want be selected here. For that, let's open the edit, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to call on mounted, and on mounted I'm going to say the form dot permissions is going to be equal with probes dot role dot permissions like this. And if I come here, as you can see now, we have all selected. If I remove this and say update, and as I said, let's change the redirect on the update. I'm going to stay there. So return back like this. And now go and see again if I remove this update. Yeah, it's updated. Very good. Let's add this one also to the, when we create a new role. So let's do the same. I'm going to open the create. Open the create component inside the roles. And here we have a form, and let's add this div class to be margin top 4. Then I'm going to copy what we have here. So open the form and close this div and copy this one. Paste it here. We need permissions, and we need to pass to this one also permissions, which is going to be an empty array. And we need to define the permissions here. So let's copy this. And paste it here, remove the, and also let's remove the cons so we don't use the permissions here. And yeah, also we need to import the styles. And I think we are okay. If I save, why we don't see that? We need to import the component. So let's go to the edit. And here we have import view multi-select and do that here as well. And now we need to add permissions on the controller. So just on the edit we have, and added also on the create here. So we need to pass permissions as well on the create. And let's save and let's see what we got here. Yeah. Okay. Then on the store, we need to say, instead of request validated, just say an array with name, which is going to be request name. And I'm going to check if the request, $sign request, has permissions. In that case, let's say the same we have here on the update. So instead of role, we need to say here $sign role to be equal with that, and we are okay. So save that, come here, refresh, go back, we have admin, moderator, and user. Let's say a new one. Going to say just test role and pass in the create user update. Okay, now if I go back, go to the table plus, sorry, and refresh, we have permission ID 1 belong to the role ID 1, and also permission ID 1 to role ID 6. Okay, let's go to this one. And now let's work with the revoke here. So and if I want, I can also revoke the permissions right here. For that, I'm going to create a controller. So let's say artisan make controller and give it a name, revoke permission from role controller. And it's going to be invocable, so let's select true and let's close this. Let's open the web routes and register a new route here. So route, and it's going to be delete method, and say here roles slash we need the role and slash permissions slash permission. Okay, and the controller is revoke permission controller class. And I'm going to give it a name. Let's say roles dot permissions dot destroy. And now let's copy this, the name, and let's on the edit on the table here we have a link that revoke a permission, and let's paste this. So the route is roles permissions destroy, but here we accept we need two parameters, which is the role and also the permission ID. So let's pass here also the role dot ID and permission ID. Okay, and we are good also with web. Now let's open the controller. So revoke permission controller, and let's remove the request. We don't need the request. What we need is to bind the role $sign role and permission from spotty $sign permission, and return type is going to be a redirect response. And let's say here role. And now we are going to use the revoke permission. So let's go with that. Paste it here, and as you saw here, the function can accept a string or a permission object. So let's pass directly the permission here. And then let's return back. So let's return back and let's save. Okay, not contracts, but from models like this. And let's save. And now if I refresh and just try to revoke this, yeah, we remove that. And if I refresh, okay, but if I let's say select all of them again, click update, we have here, if I revoke, is removed from the tables but not from the permissions, from the multi-select. So for that we need to watch the changes in the edit. And what I'm going to do, also I'm going to add one more here. So watch, and make sure you import the unmounted and also the watch from the view. And we need to watch the props role. So let's say probes dot role. And if we have any changes there, I want the form dot permissions to be able with probes dot role dot permission. Like this, hit save and refresh. Now let's revoke this one as well. And as you can see, updated. And I think we are okay. Let's go back to this one we created with a create user. Let's revoke here. Good. And let's go back and let's go also and refresh. Yeah, we don't have any. Let's go to the moderator and let's say I want to add all of them. Update. We have here, go back and refresh now. Yeah, everything works correctly on the new role. What I'm going to do, I'm going to also remove the max width on the create. So on template, I'm going to remove that max width MD. Let's say max width 6 XL, like this. And also remove the padding for, say, font. This is just for style, semi-bold, and text to be indigo 700. Okay. That's it about this video, friends. I hope you enjoy and see you in the next one. All the best. Thank you very much.